The laundry machine started spinning, empty. The sound arrived softly at first, a low mechanical hum that didn't belong to the silence of the apartment. He noticed it only because everything else had already settled into stillness. The refrigerator had finished its quiet cycle. The pipes had stopped shifting inside the walls. Even the faint traffic beyond the building had thinned to a distant hush. Yet the washing machine continued. From the hallway, the noise felt wrong. Not loud, not urgent, but deliberate. A smooth circular motion turning somewhere behind the closed laundry room door. He sat on the couch and waited for it to stop. Didn't. The machine rotated with patient consistency, the drum's momentum whispering against metal housing. No water filled it. No agitation cycle. Just the spin. He was certain he hadn't started it. The thought arrived without panic, just a small pressure behind his eyes. He tried to remember the evening in sequence. Dinner, dishes, a few folded shirts placed into the closet. He hadn't done laundry today. The spin continued. The hallway light cast a long rectangle across the floor, stopping just short of the laundry room door. The rest of the hall remained in soft shadow. He stood slowly. The hum grew slightly louder as he approached, the sound becoming textured now. Fabricless rotation, hollow and echoing inside the machine's drum. Empty. He paused at the door. There was something uncomfortable about the rhythm, the way it never faltered. Washing machines usually stuttered during spin cycles, tiny shifts in weight, irregular bumps. This one moved perfectly smoothly. He turned the knob. The door opened a few inches. The laundry room smelled faintly of detergent and warm plastic. The overhead light flickered once before settling into a dull yellow glow. The washer was spinning. Through the round glass window, the drum rotated in steady silence. No clothes, just stainless steel reflecting the light in dull, revolving streaks. He stepped closer. The machine should have been shaking. An empty drum spinning this fast usually rattled violently. But the washer remained perfectly still, balanced in a way that felt unnatural. As if something inside it was stabilizing the motion. He crouched and watched the glass. The reflections shifted with each rotation, distorted lines of the room sliding across the curved surface. The light above him stretched and bent into moving halos. For a moment, he thought he saw something darker pass through the reflection. But the drum continued its empty spin. He placed his hand lightly against the glass. Warm. The vibration traveled through his palm in a smooth circular pulse. Not the uneven tremor of machinery. A rhythm. His hand lingered there longer than he meant it to. The machine didn't slow. Instead, the sound changed slightly. Not louder, just deeper. As if the rotation had begun pulling air through the drum in longer breaths. He removed his hand. The spin continued. Behind him, somewhere in the apartment, the refrigerator clicked on again. The sudden noise made the laundry room feel smaller. He stood and turned toward the doorway. The hallway beyond looked unchanged. The same dim stretch of carpet and shadow. But something about it felt adjusted. The angle of the hallway light seemed slightly different. He frowned. The light came from a lamp near the living room couch. Its glow normally spilled straight across the floorboards. Now the beam tilted slightly toward the laundry room door, like it had been moved. He stepped into the hallway and looked back toward the living room. The lamp hadn't moved, yet the light pointed differently. A thin stripe now stretched all the way down the hall, ending exactly where he stood. He looked back into the laundry room. The machine was still spinning. The reflections inside the glass had changed. The room behind him now appeared in the drum's curved surface. The hallway, the thin bar of light, the darker shapes of furniture. But the reflections lagged. He watched the drum rotate. The room inside the glass moved half a second slower than the real one. He blinked. The delay vanished. The reflection matched again. His chest tightened. It was just the curvature of the glass. Distortion. Perspective. Still, he stepped closer again. The machine's spin seemed slightly faster now. The deeper hum had turned almost soothing, like distant wind moving through a hollow structure. He leaned down. Inside the glass window, The room rotated endlessly in warped fragments. The laundry room light, the hallway, the dim living room behind him, and occasionally, something darker, a vertical shape. He straightened slowly. The hallway behind him was empty. The apartment had only one occupant. The washer continued spinning. The hum deepened again. This time the shift carried a faint secondary sound beneath it, a soft brushing noise, like fabric sliding across metal. He crouched again, heart beating slower now, not faster, just heavier. The drum rotated, still empty, but the sound remained. Brush, brush, brush. He watched longer, and then he noticed the condensation, a faint ring of moisture forming on the inside of the glass. It appeared gradually, fog spreading along the circular edge. The machine wasn't using water, yet the glass clouded slowly with warmth. His own reflection surfaced in the fogged ring, but something about it felt slightly off. He leaned closer. The reflection leaned closer too, but not perfectly. It moved a fraction slower. He froze. The reflection froze as well. The drum kept spinning. Inside the glass, the reflection of his face remained slightly behind the real movement of his body. Half a second, maybe less, but enough to notice. He straightened. The reflection stayed leaning forward for a moment longer, then corrected itself. His stomach tightened. The machine's hum lowered again, the rhythm thickening into something almost organic. The brushing sound returned. Brush, brush, brush. He watched the glass window carefully now. The condensation thickened. Shapes began appearing in the fog, indistinct shadows moving along the drum's inner wall. He knew they were reflections. They had to be, yet none of them matched anything in the room. One shape slid across the glass slowly. Tall, narrow. It rotated with the drum but moved against its direction. His throat tightened. The washer finally began slowing. The hum dropped in pitch. The drum's rotation eased into a slower, heavier turn. He waited. One final revolution, then another, until the drum stopped. The room fell silent. The condensation still clung to the glass. And in the fogged surface, something remained. Not rotating now. A dark vertical shape standing inside the reflection. He stepped back. The reflection didn't move. The hallway behind him was empty. The glass window slowly cleared as the warmth faded. The dark shape thinned, stretching into nothing. Soon the drum reflected only the empty laundry room again. Metal, light, silence. He stood there for a long time. Eventually he turned off the laundry room light. The hallway dimmed. He walked back toward the living room. Behind him, the washing machine sat quiet in the dark. Still, empty, waiting. He reached the couch and sat down. For several minutes, nothing happened. The apartment returned to its ordinary nighttime sounds. Pipes shifting, refrigerator humming, the distant whisper of traffic. His breathing slowed. Then, from the hallway, a soft mechanical click, followed by the gentle beginning of motion. The laundry machine started spinning again. This time, he heard something inside it, and it sounded like fabric. Her reflection blinked twice. The bathroom light hummed above the mirror, a thin fluorescent whine that made the small room feel narrower than it was. The bulb had always sounded like that. She thought so, anyway. But tonight the noise seemed louder, threaded through the quiet of the apartment like a wire pulled too tight. Her reflection blinked twice, once with her, and once more after. She stayed very still. For a moment, she told herself she had imagined it. The mind did strange things when it was tired. The apartment had been quiet all evening, the sort of quiet that pressed against the walls until even ordinary sounds. Plumbing shifting in the pipes, the refrigerator's distant compressor, felt amplified. Still, she stared at the mirror. The woman staring back looked ordinary enough. Damp hair tucked behind one ear, a gray shirt creased from sleep, the faint sheen of water on her cheeks where she had just splashed her face at the sink. Nothing unusual. Her reflection watched her. She raised her hand slowly. The reflection raised its hand. perfectly synchronized. She exhaled, a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, and leaned closer to the mirror. The glass smelled faintly of cleaner, something sharp and lemon sour. Her nose nearly touched it. Her eyes blinked. The reflection blinked. Only once. She stepped back. The bathroom light flickered briefly, a quick dimming that made the mirror's surface look deeper than glass should be. For an instant, the reflection seemed slightly darker than the room behind her. The light steadied. She turned away. The hallway outside the bathroom stretched into the apartment's main room, dim except for the faint blue glow of the television screen she'd left paused earlier. The apartment was small, one long line of rooms with doors that opened into each other like compartments. Quiet, too quiet maybe. She stepped into the hallway and left the bathroom light on behind her. Its pale glow stretched across the floorboards and touched the reflective black surface of the oven door in the kitchen. She hesitated when she saw herself there. Not clearly, just a warped reflection in the dark glass, bent by the oven's curvature and the dim light behind her. She moved forward. The reflection moved too, but something about the timing felt off. Just barely, like a film playing one frame behind. She stopped in front of the oven. The glass held her shape in a dull, smoky sheen. Her arms, her shoulders, the soft outline of her face. She lifted her hand. The reflection lifted its hand. But slower, not much slower. Just enough that she felt the delay before she saw it. Her stomach tightened. She lowered her hand quickly. The reflection finished raising its own before lowering it. The delay was only a second. Less than that. She laughed under her breath, though the sound came out thin. "Stop!" she murmured to the empty room. The refrigerator hummed in reply. She turned away from the oven and walked into the living area. The television screen reflected the room faintly, its black surface showing a dim overlay of the couch, the coffee table, the window beyond. The window. She hadn't noticed it before. The curtains were half open, revealing the dark outside. The glass reflected the room more clearly than the television. The faint shapes of furniture layered against the night beyond. She approached slowly. The reflection approached with her. But the apartment behind the reflection seemed deeper. The hallway looked longer in the glass than it did in reality. The bathroom light glowed at the far end like a small moon. She frowned. The reflection frowned. She leaned closer to the window. The room behind her in the reflection leaned closer too. Except, the bathroom light flickered again. In the reflection, it flickered first. Then the real light behind her followed. She turned quickly toward the hallway. The bathroom light steadied. She turned back to the window. Her reflection stood very close now, nearly face to face with her through the glass. Her breath fogged the surface slightly. The reflection's breath fogged too. But the patterns didn't match. Her fog bloomed upward. The reflections drifted sideways. The apartment seemed colder suddenly. A faint chill slid across her arms. She stepped away from the window. The reflection stayed where it was. Just for a second. Then it stepped back too. Her throat tightened. She stood in the middle of the living room, listening. The refrigerator clicked. Pipes shifted faintly inside the walls. The fluorescent hum from the bathroom continued, thin and constant. She walked back down the hallway. The mirror waited at the end. She hadn't turned off the light. The mirror was brighter now, the fluorescent glow reflecting harshly across the glass. It showed the hallway behind her, the doorway to the living room, the dim shape of the couch. She stood in the bathroom doorway and looked at herself. The reflection looked back. Normal again. She exhaled slowly. "You're tired," she whispered. The reflection's lips formed the same words. But no sound came from the mirror. She stepped closer. The floor tile felt colder under her feet. The reflection watched. Her shoulders moved with each breath. So did the reflections. She leaned over the sink. The fluorescent light flickered again. Just once. In the mirror, the reflection blinked. She hadn't. Her chest froze mid-breath. The reflection blinked again. Slowly, deliberately. Her own eyes remained wide. The reflection smiled. Not widely, just a faint, almost sympathetic curve of the lips. She stumbled backward, hitting the bathroom doorframe. The reflection remained at the sink, still leaning forward, still watching. For a long moment neither of them moved. Then the reflection straightened. She hadn't. It stood upright in the mirror while she remained pressed against the doorframe. Her pulse thudded in her ears. The reflection lifted a hand. She didn't move. Its fingers touched the glass from the inside. A soft, dull tap. She felt something brush the mirror behind her reflection, like movement deeper in the glass. Not behind her. Inside it. The fluorescent light dimmed slightly. The reflection leaned closer to the surface. Her own body felt heavy, rooted in place. The reflection's face came very near the glass. Too near. His eyes looked curious. It opened its mouth. No sound came out, but she understood the shape of the word. Hello. The bathroom suddenly felt smaller. The air colder. The reflection's palm pressed flat against the mirror. Slowly, carefully, it began to push. The glass flexed slightly inward. She heard a faint creak, like pressure against something that had always been solid. She stepped backward. The reflection watched her retreat. Then it withdrew its hand. The glass returned to normal. Still, silent. The reflection resumed her posture exactly as it should be, leaning slightly over the sink. Perfectly aligned again. She waited. Seconds passed. Nothing moved. Finally, she forced herself forward again. One step, then another. Her reflection mirrored her perfectly now. She leaned close to the mirror. Her eyes blinked. The reflection blinked. Once. Exactly once. She stared for a long time after that. Minutes, maybe. Nothing happened. The fluorescent hum filled the room. Eventually, her breathing slowed. She turned away from the sink. The hallway waited quietly outside the bathroom. The apartment looked normal again. She walked out and reached for the bathroom switch. The light clicked off. Darkness swallowed the mirror. But in the brief moment before the door swung closed, the last sliver of reflected light showed something still standing at the sink. Perfectly still, watching the doorway. And when the door finished closing, the faint sound that came from the dark bathroom was not the hum of the light. It was the quiet, patient tap of fingers testing the glass.